This is a response to Butte for BRNS. I just want to start out by saying that I do. I have watched a few of your videos, and I do agree with a lot of what you have to say. I think that you come from a more logical point of view on a lot of things that you say instead of just coming from straight emotion. I sense that you kind of come off as being like matter of fact about what you're saying instead of just leaving it up to being your own opinion or just your own background. And I just want to start out by saying that I do respect that, especially with having had dealt with a lot of women who don't seem to view situations like that. Now, with that being said, I wanted to make this response video just to point out a few maybe different aspects of a few points that you made. First off, I wanted to start out by pointing out when you said that you saw on the news that a woman publicly admitted to resenting her husband for getting laid off and having to take on more responsibilities on the job. Now, I believe I see that situation, according to how you explained it, as being a prime example of how in relationships people want to play the blame game to make themselves feel better. And when they play the blame game, they usually point fingers at another human being, and usually the one that's closest to them. So whether it be their child or their partner, husband or wife, they will point the finger at them. So instead of being mad at a situation and not the person, they will be mad at the person. And I see that as being a prime example of actually both genders doing that within the within their relationship or their marriage. Because, for an example, if a woman has a surgery that requires bed rest for her to get healed, the husband should be understanding and maybe bring in family and friends if he needs extra temporary help while his wife is healing. But some people will respond in a matter of starting to have fiery arguments with their wife, or lacking to do things in a timely manner, like taking out the trash because they resent that she's been down for a week, or not wanting to cook things that are healthy for the children, and just doing little things that are not really productive to the family because deep down inside they have a resentment toward their spouse. When in all actuality, it's like there's no one to blame in a layoff or a surgery. Now, I mean, if you want to blame your husband's boss, okay, well, be mad at them if you want to, but understand that gets you nowhere. And, you should direct your energy towards trying to help fix the problem. But, I think this happens in relationships, and I'm just saying that instead of saying, well, because the man's the main provider and, that's why she resents him, it's kind of like I see it from a different perspective as one of those situations that the partner who is maybe suffering as well as the original partner who is going through the situation, they are trying to turn their energy at another human being because mentally it might help them cope better. And it is a defense that people have developed since the beginning of all time. And they might lack some type of maturity in their view of a life-changing situation. That's, like I said, it's no one's fault. And if we can all better understand and have compassion and patience to be able to stand by your partner, be mad at the situation and don't be mad at your partner, because that's what is going to help keep that family be strong. And that's what's going to help keep the both of you be partners instead of starting to become enemies. I agree with you about the whole entire estrogen thing, and that you shouldn't go against nature, and that we all have our own definition of what femininity and masculinity is supposed to be about. Now, for one main thing, I believe that, yeah, the dictionary has a definition of those terms, but it's also defined by your own personal experiences, which creates your own perception. But one thing that we all can agree on, because it's scientific, is that estrogen is a main chemical that is for women to produce. Even though both genders produce them, but that is the main one for women, and testosterone is the main one for men. And of course, estrogen causes mood swings. It can cause imbalance in appetite. I mean, it can cause a number of things. I would Google it, and testosterone just kind of helps counteract that estrogen effect. So in a way, it might make men a little bit more logical on how they look at situations. Now, each gender can be logical and each gender can be emotional, but I don't want to get off topic and have to break that down. But I will say that I agree with Lovely Lady when she said how both parties do need to work now, because in this day and age, you know, prices of everything have went up, and if you haven't basically started your own business, which gets franchises, or got you a job that makes $100,000, $75,000 a year, only having one partner support is basically not a reality if there are children involved. For women to have this type of idea, I want to give a scenario that if your husband dies or if he leaves, and to fix the financial situation, if you have that type of logic that women are not supposed to work, then your immediate solution is to go out and to find another man, whom in which might actually cause more harm to the children, even if he is financially stable, to be able to help support the family. I respect the fact that you do respect others' different backgrounds. I also wanted to try to give another perspective on what you said, that men and women are not equal, and it brings an inferiority complex. Now, you also said that because they're different makes them not equal. Now, the definition of equal is to be of the same measure, quantity, value, quality, number, degree, or status of another. Now, I'm not going to look up the definition of different, because I think everybody knows what that one means. But to say that they are not equal, and I'm just going to say it like this, is to say that they're not of the same value, quality, quantity, number, degree, everything I just named. I'm not saying that we are the same. I am saying that we need to state that we are different physically, mentally, and that needs to be appreciated, acknowledged, and acceptance, because differences and inequality are not synonymous to each other. In my own perception, to say that we are not equal because we are different is like saying that blacks and whites are not equal because they're different. So I'm saying that basically we need to find another way of coming about explaining the differences between men and women. I respect your knowledge and clear view of gender relationships and the nature of both genders. But to say that not being equal, depending on the definition that I just stated, does bring an inferiority complex to women, because you're saying that they're not of the same value. We need to say that our differences need to be respected, and then just leave it at that, to not create a lesser value within our subconscious, and then we start having these false opinions that because someone is different from us, that means that they can't equally contribute a certain amount of knowledge or a certain amount of strength to a situation to help solve a problem.